Rain and love story. It is raining outside. The bride and groom were supposed to arrive at around 2 in the afternoon. They might not arrive at that time because of the rain. Karbi's father had doubts about that. The girl could clearly see her father's worried face. Her wet hair was wrapped in a towel. Her mind was telling her that the bride and groom would not arrive today. What a storm and rain! Even a dog would not go out on the street in this time, let alone a human. Bindu came from the kitchen on shaky feet. Since the girl had thick toes, she made a sweet sound as she walked. What a beautiful rustling sound. She had 2 pieces of chicken meat in a steel bowl. Bindu had an invincible trick of stealing the minced meat. She took advantage of the fact that her mother was not in the kitchen. She took the bowl of meat and sat down on the wooden chair. Karbi had always been sitting on her bed. The girl's complexion was beautiful and fair, making her look like a doll. Long black eyebrows, round eyes. Looking at Karbi, Bindu moved her legs and took a small bite of the piece of meat and said, "Boo-boo, get ready. The groom will come." Karbi's eyes were on the book in front of him. He was reading comfortably and calmly. His attention was slightly disturbed by his sister's words. He frowned and said, "You see how much rain it is outside. Why is the groom in this condition? Not even an animal will come out on the street. The fat animal that was supposed to come to see you today will come out right away, just like he was watching you dab-dab at the wedding that day." Karbi stared at her sister's rude words with a warm look on her face. She sat up and said in a firm voice, "How do you call someone with a fat belly fat again?" "Oma, shouldn't I call someone with a fat belly fat? Why are you so upset? You're so upset when you're not married. Whether married or not, you shouldn't belittle a person's physical beauty." Hey, where did I go? If someone with a belly like a drum is called fat, you're being disrespectful. If I can't even tell the truth now, where will truthful people like me hide? This world is not for us, Sati Savitris. Saying this in a dramatic manner, the girl bit into the piece of meat, as if she had so much sorrow in her life. Karbi smiled at her sister. She was so clever. She turned the conversation around and said, "Okay, what are you doing, father? What else are you going to do? His only good daughter is waiting for her fat husband to come. Why are you just waiting? They won't come. In this rain, someone will come to someone's house. You don't have to agree. They will come. But listen, whether a fat man comes or a thin man, you won't get married to any of them." Karbi was surprised and said in a surprised voice, "You mean you won't get married to anyone? How are you so sure?" "Because someone is praying every day to get you. I will not give you to anyone else who is above him." Karbi's curiosity increased even more. He widened his eyes and said in an interested voice, "Who is he?" Before Bindu could answer, Karbi's father called from the drawing room. The groom's party had arrived. Bindu's eyebrows danced upon hearing that. Looking at her sister, she said thoughtfully, "Didn't I tell you that this drum would come? Has it come?" Karbi took a deep breath. The whole idea of marriage was like a ghost story to her. She was just afraid. Who knows what might happen? A small table was decorated with all kinds of sweets. An attempt was made to entertain the groom's party. With all the resources of the middle class, the groom Milton was, accompanied by his mother and his married elder sister, Tupu. Bindu stood behind the curtain of her mother's room. She examined the groom carefully. The dark-skinned man had only a few hairs on his head. The small man, however, the man who had been wearing a permanent smile since then, was coming. At one point in the conversation, Karbi was called. Karbi's mother went and brought Karbi. The girl's wet hair was disheveled. She was wearing a white and blue cotton dress. She had no special makeup. Looking at her figure, it was easy to guess that she had no interest in proving herself perfect in front of her husband. The woman named Tupu smiled upon seeing Karbi. She must have been about 40 or 42 years old. As soon as she arrived, she enthusiastically held Karbi's hand. She said in a cheerful voice, "How beautiful! What a beautiful face!" Karbi exchanged polite smiles with Tupu. Tupu took Karbi and sat her down. She sat next to him. she said in a broken voice. I never thought Milton would like such a beautiful girl. That day, after eating Nayan's wedding, he said that he really liked a girl. We rushed there without wasting any more time. But I never imagined that Milton would really like someone so beautiful. What is your name? She asked the last question to Karbi. The crow replied in a small voice, Blood Crow. Wow, what a great name. Bindu was listening intently behind the curtain. When Boo Boo was praised for her name, she muttered, Just think, Boo Boo. How awkward would the name Milton Sahib look next to your blood relative's name as a husband? It would seem that she has not given him the name of her husband, but of her father-in-law. Will a man named Cha-Cha finally become my brother-in-law? Never. Tupu asked a second question. What are you studying? Honours second year. Bengali department. Very good. What a beautiful tone you have, Karbi. Tupu's voice seemed to overflow with praise for Karbi. Karbi's parents also felt happy to hear such praise for their daughter from the groom's side. The conversation continued. The man named Milton Sahib kept his head down and smiled. Bindu's body was on the verge of burning up seeing that. At one point in the conversation, Mr. Milton was sent to the Karbi's room with Karbi. As Bindu followed, Tupu called out, Hey, is this Bindu Bala, Karbi's sister? Bindu stopped without asking. He forced a smile and replied. The rain outside showed no sign of abating. Karbi and Milton were standing on the veranda. The rain was dripping on their bodies. Breaking the silence, Milton spoke. Come on, let's go inside and sit. You'll get wet in the rain. Karbi's eyes were outside. Looking at him, he said softly, I like the rain. Then I'm staying too. Milton's candid confession. No, you go inside and sit. My liking the rain doesn't mean you have to get wet too. Every person has different preferences. Milton smiled at Karbi's words. He said in a foolish voice, Husband and wife mean that one person's choice becomes the other's joy. Even if it rains this much, it's okay to get wet. Karbi smiled. He said, You are saying that you will accept my choice as your own. Yes, I will try. We are two sisters. We do not have a brother, so at some point, I will have to take charge of my father's family. What is your opinion then? Of course I will. My father died soon after I was born. My mother raised us with great difficulty, so I know the meaning of parents. You will definitely take charge. I will be by your side. When I leave my family and come to help my father's house, will you be able to accept it easily? At Karbi's question, Milton Sahib seemed to pause for a moment. After a moment, he smiled and said, That will also be your family. You will have your own responsibility there too. If you can get rid of that responsibility, I have nothing to say here. Karbi took a deep breath. Just then, someone rushed into the room, and that entry was like a boy-shock riot. As soon as he arrived, he took a few steps towards Karbi and said, Bring your kadam. What a flower you like. These bloom at the top of a tree. Do you know how much trouble you have to go through to get them? They have claws like yours. Grab them. Karbi looked at the boy with indifferent eyes. Bindu was standing behind the boy. There was no worry on his face. His face was smiling. Milton Sahib's smile softened. He said in an enthusiastic voice, Who is he, Karbi? Bindu came forward. He introduced himself enthusiastically. He is Hiran Bai. Hi, Mr. Hiran. Hello, keep it up. How many kadamfuls are you coming to see, Karbi? Don't you know that the girl likes kadamfuls? Is this the one you are going to marry? Actually, I didn't know. Milton Sahib smiled shyly. He seemed quite embarrassed. But he wasn't supposed to be embarrassed here. Is the man a neat gentleman? Karbi said in a hoarse voice. Why did you come here? Did your father let you in? Is that your father or a snake? He'll raise his voice as soon as he sees me. Speak politely. Hiran did not take the edge of Karbi's rebuke. He took a handful of flowers and whispered them behind Karbi's ear. Karbi remained silent. Milton Sahib's smile faded now. He looked around trying to understand what was going on. Karbi's father entered the room now. The gentleman's eyes and face were dark. Still, He maintained enough politeness and said, "Hiran, Karbi's in-laws have come to see Karbi. You leave here for now. Let them talk."